Before she was woman, before she was black, she is the one and only Freddie Harrel. Hello.
Hi, hello.
How are you?
No, I'm good, thanks. Thank you for having me.
So tell me about before you're one, before you're black, you are Freddie Harrel.
So this was a video that I did with Style Like You a couple of years ago. It was such an amazing experience. I really love those really like raw conversations about, you know, like our personal journey.
Right.
And this statement, I think, really sums me up. I feel like, you know, like it kind of sums up my journey as in the sense that I really tried for so many years, for so long to kind of, you know, like be okay with myself, like accept myself fully and be myself. And I think that most of it, you know, all of the insecurities and the issues that like I felt growing up, and the, you know, this feeling of not fitting, of not being part of normality, etc. I think really stemmed from the fact that from a very young age, you're kind of very conscious and aware of who you are and what you want to do, and then where you want to go. You know, like you see things, say, I want this, I want to be this. And then slowly as you grow up, you know, like people are going to put limitation and expectations. So, you know, like you're a woman, therefore this is where you need to stop, or this is where you're not going to go further, or you're black, and this. And I think these kind of starts this conflict inside your head where you're like, but I don't see all of these restrictions, I don't see all of these things, and why do they have to define me on your own definition of those terms in the first place? So I think, yeah, the before I am woman, before I am black, I am Freddie is the, like, I think it's just me setting myself free of anyone's expectations.
I love it so much. So our editor-in-chief, Monife Coffee, fell in love with you during your ASOS days.
Yeah,
So we all want to know what led you from ASOS to starting your own brand and joining the black hair business and stuff like that.
Oh, wow. So, you know, actually, there's been a lot of accidents around this. So when people ask me about how did you take the leap, how did you start out of this, a lot of things was just accidents that I kind of fixed on the way. So when I work as a stylist at ASOS, what can I say? So it was a great experience. It was fun. Like I learned so much. We were such a great team. But I think at the time, like, you know, like no one had really figured out where we were going to go with that. For me, it was also such a drastic change from working in digital marketing and just doing spreadsheets and very like analytical to doing full-time like styling and fashion for someone who had always felt like this is too superficial to be a career. You know, I wanted to be a trader in the first place. And that it was kind of like a hard change. And when I was there, I realized I wanted to do more around confidence and confidence building around women, because everyone was like, "You're so confident." No. But then the thing from ASOS for me to go full time is just that they let me go.
Really?
Yeah.
You?
Yeah. No, well, that's okay. Yeah, no, well, and obviously, you know, like at the time, it felt like I remember saying, "This is the end of my life," and well, no, it wasn't. It was kind of like the beginning of it. No, but yeah, so I didn't take the leap. If I'm honest, at the time, I was saying that I was going to leave and do my own thing from like a few months further than that. But now I feel like saying that is a bit too easy because, you know, you're like, no, but it's like too.
Yeah.
So, no, and after that, so that kind of gave me that push that I said I was going to take anyway. But, you know, I don't know if I would have done it comfortably anyway. So that was hard, but that really pushed me to find my resources. And then I went and I did like a training on confidence coaching.
Right.
And then I worked several months on, you know, like what the blog was going to be and on these workshops. So I call them She Unleashed.
Yeah.
So I started like this whole, and then that was really like the match of my journey and everything I had coming through, and you know, like how I found confidence and all of that.
Right.
But so then I was ready to launch these workshops I was so excited about, like in January 2016. And at that time, we found out that, like out of the blue, like Tom, my husband, got offered a job in Geneva, and it was like an amazing opportunity, an amazing job. So we just thought, okay, we need to go for it.
Right.
But I had just launched the workshops, and I was really worried about what I was going to do after that. So I had the blog, obviously, but I wasn't like what it is now. It wasn't like it wasn't that successful yet.
Right.
And the workshop, so I was kind of nervous to move to Switzerland, which is not even in the EU. So in terms of like deliveries, receiving packages, everything is not straightforward.
Yeah.
So I was kind of nervous that it would hold me back. And I remember having these panic attacks. What am I going to do? And then I remember saying to Tom as a joke, So I thought I would need to launch a quick online shop, a quick business that could keep me busy while I'm there.
Right.
And I remember saying to Tom, I was like, well, I think that I could have a hair brand as a joke, because the thing behind Big Hair No Care is the fact that I found the supplier that we had for Big Hair No Care years and years and years ago. So I had already, because the story behind Big Hair No Care is that I used to wear human hair extensions and then kind of got grossed out after watching Good Hair and Whose Hair Is It Anyway?
Yeah.
By Jamilia, a documentary. But also, I find it like really expensive, and I'm not a hair person. So because it's so expensive, you feel like you have to spend so much time maintaining the texture, especially if it's like not straight but curly. It's harder to make them last. And I would buy this expensive hair, and then after 2 sets of weave, they would be ruined, and you're like, no, but I've spent like £700 or something. And so I'm not a hair person. I'm not someone who's going to spend time detangling, conditioning this hair extension. And synthetic that I had found in shops, I wore some, and then I found it was too stinky, smells of plastic.
Yeah.
It's really shiny, really coated. It doesn't look realistic. So years ago, I had found this supplier. I had sent her photos of me, of my hair, and then like how I wanted the texture to be. And we worked on that. So like that was the Big Hair No Care, but that was like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But I was just ordering this just for me. She didn't care about minimum orders. So I was just like ordering this from her. And then I started the blog, and when people were saying, Freddie, I love your hair. And when I was like, it's not my hair. Like, oh, what is this? And then I never really said anything about it because I wasn't really bragging about hair. And also, what did you want me to say? Like, this is this girl, like, email her, and then, like, she doesn't have a website or anything, but, like, send her an email and then tell her you want the hair like Freddie, like the Freddie hair. So, for me, like, the idea of, like, I need to have a quick business that I can set up.
Right.
This was easy because I knew I had people interested because I had already had Instagram and people had asked me.
Right.
But also, I already had the supplier. And I already had, so, all I had to find after was the name, and I have like a logo, etc. So this was quite quick if you think about it. And then to put in place the the selling the selling system as well. I had my best friends in London. They have this website called antidotstreets.com. It's an amazing site where you can buy anything black hair related or grooming. And they were not selling hair at the time. So, and they wanted to get into hair. So it was the perfect collaboration. We decided to work together. So I would sell exclusively on their website, and then they would just sell the hair. So when you would, at the time when we first launched, and you would go on Big Hair No Care, the site was a window. So when you clicked on buy, shop, it would take you to Antidot Street. So they were the one doing the orders, doing everything, which was perfect timing because I was in Geneva and I was also pregnant and I was very sick. So that's how it was easier to launch the brand.
Oh, wow. So when it comes to like the hair, like how involved were you with like picking the hair? Like did you hand pick it yourself and all that type of stuff, or? So
the texture, like the Zero Drama Queen, is the texture that I designed years ago for me. So I have been wearing this. If you go back to like my old blog photos, you will see this is the hair I'm wearing.
Yeah.
So I had so we did that through photos and through like explanations, kind of like the feel and the fluffiness, the volume, the density, etc. So and then the No Stress Princess, it was just about, so that's the blown out version. It was just about creating a blown out version of this. So the way it's actually made, it's really, like this is the hardest to make because it's obviously synthetic hair, so you can't. So it's just made of like a lot of thin braids, and then they're just undone, and then that's how it gets that sort of kinky texture.
Nice, nice. So what's next? So are you planning on adding any more textures to Big Hair No Care?
So there's a lot more in the pipe for Big Hair No Care. Okay. Like I said, it was an accident at the beginning, and now we're just like, oh wow, it's getting growing. Like, oh wow. So every time we're just like adding next. Right. There's a texture that I've been trialing. And then people on Instagram are like desperate for it to come. Like, Freddie, when is coming? But I was like, sorry, I need to try it first. I need to wear it, see how long it lasts. Yeah. And also, like, we're kind of having a hard time to make it because with Big Hair No Care, really, like, the no care is the no maintenance, no nothing. Like you don't do anything. We don't want you to wash, to condition, to twist, to detangle. You don't do anything to it. The idea is like you save your time and your money for either your own hair or for to do more meaningful things. Like, I don't know, like reading
going
books.
out with your friends or something.
Yeah, going out with your friends.
Yeah.
I don't know, that you put that money into evening courses, mortgage, or traveling, or, you know, like therapy sessions, other things, and also that time. So, like to design a new so the texture that I want is going to be much more glam, but I want it to be in a way, to arrive in a way then you don't have to do anything to it. Because the way that it was so far, it's kind of like you still need kind of some sort of care around it, and I'm trying to minimize that part. So this is why it takes some time. And it's quite hard because, you know, it's like our textures, and you really want, I really want to keep I want to do like more glam textures and kind of like you know, like fuller curls, but to also keep the kinks.
Keep the character.
Yeah, keep the character.
Yeah.
So all of this is like different techniques that you have to mix, but I'm kind of like new to this as well. So anyway.
I think you're doing great so far.
Thank you, yeah, thank you.
So can we expect any more US pop-up shops from Big Hair No Care? Because I'm sure everyone all over the country is like, we need more.
Is it so funny? You know, like we had one we opened one in London this time last year, then we did Paris in March, and now New York. And then every time on Instagram is like, when are you coming to Toronto? When are you coming to LA? When are you coming to Atlanta? Like everyone is like Berlin and like popping their city.
Right.
I think we need to have like a caravan and go on tour. No, I don't know. Well, we haven't even finished the US pop-up, so we are now. So it's Friday. Like we're finishing Sunday night.
Right.
So I think we need to finish the New York pop-up, sit back and look at how it's been, and, you know, like kind of look at everything, and then we're going to see what next. Because, you know, we did this pop-up here in New York because last week we launched our US website.
Right.
So before that, we were already shipping to the US. But we had a UK site, so we were like charging in British pounds, and we were shipping from England. So we've already like made this whole, the US, we're here for you. So now, you know, so we only just knew, you know, it's only been a week that we are fully US, you know, like US, how do you say, involved.
Yeah.
So I can't say now what is going to be the rest for the US, but I can tell you that we are going to have some exciting news soon. There's like a new, there's another like retail partner we're going to have that's going to stock Big Hair No Care, and that's going to be super fun. I'm really excited about this.
Okay, awesome. So I think it's really interesting to see how trends go like from something small to like worldwide. So what's the influence that the US natural hair movement has had on like the UK natural hair movement, if any at all?
Yeah, no, I think there's a massive impact from, there's a strong influence from the US into the rest of Europe when it comes to hair, absolutely. Even when I was younger, you know, like the first time we had relaxers, you know, like it had started years ago in the US, and we were just waiting for them to arrive to us. So we kind of like, you know, like look to the US to set the trends, and then we're just like, you know, like getting them 5 years down the line when they're like a bit, like when they've actually moved on to the next stage. But you know, like thanks to social media now, like we know at the same time everything that is going on.
Yeah.
But it's true, like I would say like most of the techniques, the hair trends, they come from the US. Well, now that we're going back to natural, I think we're embracing more and more of traditional African, you know, like hairstyles, like braiding, or you know, like doing cornrows, like more like, you know, the art of on cornrow and braiding. I think this is a strong celebration to like years and years of African traditions as well. So we find it like, you know, we're finally having this stronger influence from Africa. But yeah, definitely the size of the movement in the US, I think, is really encouraging us in Europe to be kind of like, you know, more engaged with it and more adamant as well around this whole natural hair thing.
Have you always been natural?
No. I think it's been maybe 8 years around that. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So for a while I was putting my hair, and I noticed when I went natural, I was fully natural. My confidence went like through the roof. So has going natural, like, did that do anything for you and your self-view?
Absolutely. I think for me, it really reconciled me with the rest of my body as well, and like especially my face. I think before I was really obsessed with, you know, like I was always having those like straight, long waves, and always like straight hair, always. And like now that I have, like this head full of curls, and obviously like it's not all my hair, like,
Right.
but that's exactly like matching my hair texture. So that's kind of like this, like emphasis of who I am. And that made me feel bolder. And also, I used to really struggle with the thickness of my nose, like of my nose, of my lips, of, like my cheekbones. I felt like my face was really there.
Really?
And then, but obviously, like with straight hair, I guess that's not like the best way to kind of like bring it out. But now I feel like with this whole crown, it just makes everything just falls into place. And I was
Right.
like, yes, this is me.
So I love that you put emphasis on like our different personalities and how we have a bunch of different people in our head, and
Yes.
you use style and like your hair. So tell me about some of your different personalities and the styles and the hairstyles that go with them. Because you were talking about Zara. Zara's like
Yes,
Freddie.
yes, I know. Now, when it comes to style, no, absolutely. I feel obviously there's a lot of different Freddies in my head. I think that was the issue for so many years, and then until then I was like, no, this is actually a strength. It means that I have this strong collective of women. Like I have my A team, like fully ready, and I just have to, like dig deep and exactly like identify who they are and how they can really. Serve me, because that's what they're here for. So I am a lot of things. That I can be very vulnerable and I think I can be very introvert, which I think some people would not really believe, but I think I'm mostly introvert.
Yeah.
I can be very introvert, like very vulnerable, very sensitive. I think that's the thing that I've always kind of like beaten up myself about for being, but I'm a Cancer, apparently it's very like how we are. But at the same time, I can also be very fearless, very motivated, very driven. I can go from very insecure to very confident and very driven, and having like a set idea of what I want and how I want it. So my style around it, I feel like when I feel the most vulnerable or kind of like the softest, and then so this is when I usually have my head wrapped. I kind of like feel like I bring my face out a bit more, to kind of like to be like hands down, I'm coming out. But also because it makes me feel more gracious. So usually I'm gonna have, I don't know, like some sort of like maxi dresses or like more flowy shapes. It's kind of like to embody the vulnerability, but giving it the grace that it deserves, and not just looking at the negative side of like you're weak. But kind of like you're also whole. And then when I feel very like motivated, today I'm gonna go out and get you and get them. This is when I usually kind of like wear bold prints, or even bold prints, a clash suits. I love wearing suits, and I'm gonna have like the big hair outside. And on the days I feel like super bubbly and just happy and kind of like playful, this is usually when I wear trainers and but it's kind of and that's how like the broader lines, but then it's kind of
Okay, that's really cool. That's really cool. I like that you use style to kind of bring out the different aspects of your personality. So what's it been like adding Hugo's Mom and Newlywed to your repertoire of personalities? What's it like?
This is very tricky. I think finding the balance between everything is very difficult. At the same time, I also know that this is a journey as everything evolves. So motherhood, or even my marriage, or like these different brands, you're constantly going to have to find the balance between everything. So for me, balance is also a journey. At least it's something that I like to tell myself, because obviously I have moments where I feel really bad. For example, here, like right now, we're in New York and we're having this pop-up, and this is amazing. I'm excited to bring Mechanical to the US, but Hugo is not with us. He's in Paris with my family. And like you have to think about that, like it's really good for him. He's with all of his cousins, he's with my mom, this is great. He's getting out of his French. But at the same time, I also think, does that make me a terrible mom? Like I haven't seen my son in like 10 days. Is it what mothers do? So you're constantly having to balance that. And then yes, like being a wife as well is this, especially that Tom is very involved in what I do, like in my wife when he's here, very involved in my job. So there's like time where when you're talking and then the tone is the work tone, but you need to make sure that then you go back to like a normal, like then at the end of the day we just switch up and we're like best friends, and then we're also husband and wife. But this is more like I think this is the easiest because Tom and I have always been very like best friends before anything else, and then like we're also like husband and wife and like super close.
Yeah.
We're also like we work like together. So this I think is kind of like the easiest because it's also the oldest relationship in all of that. You know, motherhood is 18 months old.
Yeah.
Big head of care is like, 2 months old. And so, yeah, the blog is like, I don't know, 4 years old, almost 5. And then Tom and I is older than that, 6
Right.
years. So, yeah, the balance is a journey. So I need to learn to be patient with myself, if anything, with that.
Yeah. I think I said it before. I think you're doing great at balancing, like just watching like your YouTube and just kind of seeing the way you guys interact. Like, guys, you guys are great.
Thanks.
So you're a confidence guru. I'm gonna give you that. You're a confidence guru. So tell me about your journey from like before to now.
So yes, I think like I said to you before, growing up, it's been a struggle. It's been like a long fight to get onto the other side. I felt very insecure, very sad. I've grown up I went to private school very early. So because of that, I was kind of like the minority around from a very young age. When I was little, it was very affecting my confidence and also like the way I would value myself. I just felt like I wasn't pretty enough, not beautiful enough. I didn't have, I wasn't like rich enough, all of these things compared to my classmates. Then when I went to uni, and that's like still like late teenage years, it was even worse. Like the school where I was the poshest. The people there were like, oh my God. So hopefully, on top of that, I've always been really good at school, and I think I've used that as something I've always wanted to prove that I'm going to go farther. I'm smart. Always when people have been acting like, like you're black, you're from the suburbs, this is going, I'm putting you in this box and that's it. I kind of always been wanting to prove that I'm so much better than that, and this is not a very good approach. But when you're young, it gives you drive, but it's also very bad internal dialogue, and it's also a bad place to try to grow from.
Right.
And so because of that, I was very angry, very insecure, and very vindicative. When you're trying to prove something, you're not really doing what you want. So I started my career, I have a master's in finance. I wanted to be a trader. That makes me laugh now, because I'm like,
a trader?
How? You can't even count. And then there was, I'm still smart. No, I'm joking. But banking was never, I worked in banking for a year and a half and realized I was never going to go further because this is not something I like. And then I moved on to digital marketing because it was kind of a compromise between marketing is creative, is fun, but the digital side of it is Excel spreadsheets, analytical, measuring traffic, audience, and all of that.
Right.
So I felt like it was still that part of smart. So I think that because of this internal dialogue, it took me time to really start the career that I wanted, which I have no regrets. Like, I embrace all of my journey. I am where I need to be. But so the confidence really started when, just before when I started the blog, I remember having that it was the worst summer. I felt so, I've always had panic attacks, anxiety, but this summer I had back-to-back panic attacks all the time. I was so depressed. I really didn't like my job. I was in fashion, but not doing the fashion things I wanted. I didn't know how I was going to get there because it was the second sort of career I was growing out of. And this summer I had it. I was in a happy place in my life. I was so happy to be to be with Tom, everything. Outside of that, I finally had better friends. So I started doing therapy, and I went to therapy and I said to her, listen, I have a problem. There's a lot of Freddies in my head and they don't get along. You need to help me. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm crazy. There's all of these people. And it's really through doing this therapy. The same week I started therapy is the week I started my blog. I go by Frankie. So Frankie, obviously not Freddie, but that's part of the,
Right.
There's a lot of people. And so doing this, the therapy, I remember really talking about myself at the third person. So there's this Freddie, and she's like this, and there's this one. Instead of bashing them, I was kind of starting to think maybe I haven't given any time to get to meet them and to know them. Yeah. And now it was more about, exploring these Freddies. So the blog was the exploration of these, and the therapy was the side to it. So that's where Sheer Niche comes from, is that I felt like then I started the blog, and then it really, reunified us. Like it started this journey. It was really like, okay, now I commit to this journey of I'm going to find out who are these Freddies and like how magical they are and how I can bring them out and how I can celebrate them. And so the blog was that. So when I started social media and people were just like, Freddie, you're so confident, you're so this, I want to be like this. Right. When I worked at ASOS, they were like, Freddie, I want to be more like this. Like, how can I be confident? And I was like, no. You have no idea. But my journey has been to finally acknowledge all of these Freddies. So that's where She Unleashed comes from. It's like, she is, we're made of all of these people and we silence them, we put them in, we don't even get to know some of them, we ignore some of them, and it's like when you come unleashed that she becomes strong. Right. So my journey to confidence is really through, like shifting the look more inwards instead of looking at other people and how I'm not like any of them. How can I look more inside and like start this journey of like unpicking all of the burden from my youth and also starting to really identify the beauty in all these characters. So this is where the confidence comes from, and this is what I do with Shanish with people. It's kind of like encouraging them to go into this self-discovery journey.
Okay, awesome. So, what's one, I guess, piece of advice that you would give to someone who is maybe a couple steps back in their confidence journey, but they're like wanting to be way more ahead than they are? Like one awesome piece of advice.
Well, first, like I said, it's a journey. So you're not behind and you don't need to go ahead. All you need to do is to really acknowledge yourself. And I know it sounds silly, but I'm telling you, like, there's so much that we don't know about ourselves. There's so many feelings that we ignore. Like, we don't really ask ourselves, like, how we feel and why we feel like that. Like, I feel like I'm much more calmer than I was before, because if I feel anger now, it's more like, okay, Freddie, why are you angry? Well, I think it might be this. Okay, and why would this make you angry? Oh, and then like you start going to the root of it, and then like sometimes it goes back to things that someone has said or has done to you when you were like very young, and you're like, it's not even relevant anymore. Like, I'm not even that person, but because it has happened at the time where things would have a stronger impact, that's still how you carry them. You still carry them as something really big, when it was only big because you were very small at the time where it felt big, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I say, like, we need to go back and unpick a lot of things that have been burdened on us when we were young, and that's mostly this. So I think it's question yourself as to why you feel how you feel. Like, keep asking these questions that go back to the root, go back, and also like accept that you are this combination of who you are, because this is what you needed to be to get to where you need to go. Right. So this is like your whole team, your collective of women. How can you make this team work for you? For me, my approach in life, when I feel like when I'm in doubt or something happens to me, I feel, okay, how is this happening for me rather than to me?
Right. Nice. I like that. I think that's a perfect, really positive way to end off. Thank you so much for sitting down.
No, thank you.
And yeah.
No, thank you. And sorry I talk so much.
It's okay. It's okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.